new tiers, new turnaround times, new prices from CGC. Let's break it down. All right, guys. So several weeks ago, CGC put out an announcement about some new pricing that they were going to be putting out, which was to go into effect on May 2nd. Well, I'm recording this video now on May 2nd, and those new changes have taken effect. So I want to quickly review what these changes are, what they mean for the hobby, and let's kind of compare some of these changes that CGC has made from what they were previously doing. So let's share my screen real quick and let's take a look at these different tiers and prices and turnaround times and all these things. Okay, so here on the top, you can see this is what CGC's tiers and turnaround times and prices looked like previously. This is actually a screenshot that I pulled from one of my videos that I made about 5 or 6 months ago. So the turnaround times may have even been a little bit different, but this is pretty standard to what CGC had been giving us for the past year or so. So had the four tiers: modern, which was 1975 to present; economy, which was 1975, basically before 1975. Then you could go standard, where you could pay a little more to get your books faster, and then walkthrough, which was the fastest. So let's now compare that to what CGC currently has rolled out, because there's multiple changes, and I think that they're all pretty positive from a collector standpoint. So first off, modern 1975 to present. Okay, name has stayed the same. The max value per item has stayed the same, $400. But look at this, the price has been reduced. So previously it was $32 per magazine. Now it's $25 per magazine, a $7 reduction. That's huge. That really adds up. You know, let's say that you're going to turn in 10 books, 10 magazines. That's a $70 savings right there, so from what it was previously. But here's the biggest thing. This is just absolutely enormous. I can't even express the magnitude of how important this is. 216 days was the turnaround previously. And look at this now, 60 days from 216 to 60. That is a drastic change and a drastic improvement. Now, can CGC actually pull that off? That's yet to be seen. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. But I will say this: CGC has been getting after it on the sports magazines. Okay, we've kind of been the redheaded stepchild for a while. Comics get all the love. You know, we were waiting over a year for our magazines. They have kicked it into gear. I don't know what has changed, but ever since they got these new holders in place, CGC is really pumping the magazines back to everybody. Um, I have personally gotten 7 submissions shipped to me in the past week. I've only received 1 so far, but there's 6 more that are en route, because CGC is they're just churning them out. So I think they had a huge backlog, and obviously they're working their way through that quickly. You know, hopefully the quality is remaining the same, but I know that I am really happy to be getting all my magazines back, as I know are many other collectors. So we'll see if they can keep this up. I don't know if they hired more people, if they've invested more into the sports magazine department. I really hope so. It's been needed, because I've talked in some of my videos before about how they've really been lacking in some areas. But wow, if they can really stay true to this 60-day turnaround, that is huge. Now, let's keep in mind, this is business days. You can see here working days. So 216 days, that was about 10 months that we were talking about before. 60 business days, now we're looking at about 3 months. Okay, so once again, huge improvement. And that is, I mean, that's basically what you're getting from PSA right now for sports cards. So you know, not bad at all. All right, so here's another thing to look at. So economy, that was the books, the magazines before 1975. I love this. This is such a small thing, but they've changed the name to vintage. that just makes so much more sense to me. That's kind of how I refer to them anyway, but now it aligns with how CGC is labeling it as well, with what they're calling their tier. So now we don't have to say, because to me, modern and economy, I would get those kind of confused. And they were both kind of the same speed as far as the turnaround times, but now it just makes so much more sense. We've got modern 1975 to present, and then anything before 1975, we're going to label vintage. I love it. I really love that. All right, had a brief interruption there. My 4-year-old daughter popped in and needed her cup to be refilled with milk. So let me get back in the flow. I think I was talking about how I love the change from economy to vintage. And you can see they reduced the pricing here as well. So $42 previously, down to $5 to 37. Definitely will take that improvement. And they've got the same 60-day turnaround on this. Now, you'll notice that they've got this line here that says fast track plus 15, and then fast track 10 days. So I'm not really sure what's going on here because I just submitted an order earlier this evening and I didn't see an option anywhere for this fast track. And I was looking for it because I had seen this on the tiers, on the pricing. But when I actually went to submit my order, I didn't see it anywhere. So I feel like this is something new CGC is working on. Maybe it's not totally rolled out yet, but I mean, just looking at it, the way it appears is if you have if you have a magazine that you're sending in this category, you can pay an extra $15 per magazine to get it back. Well, I don't know if it'd be per magazine. Yeah, it'd be per item to get it back in 10 days instead of 60, 10 business days. So what this hints to me, we'll see if this plays out, but what this hints to me is I'm wondering if CGC is start going to be a little bit more stringent when it comes to max value per item. So what I mean by that is in the previous setup, CGC, I have never seen them actually apply max value per item when it comes to sports magazines. And I think that's because the hobby still has been so new, and there just haven't been a lot of sales, and haven't been a ton of comps, comparable sales and comparable values for them to make realistic determinations, like there would be for comics, or like there definitely is for sports cards. But I'm wondering if now they're actually going to start looking at that a little bit more closely, because the fat typically if someone wanted to fast track, they were just going to pay more to do the standard or the walkthrough. So and they still have these services here. Now they've changed the name, so you can see standard is now basically called high value, and the max value there is 1,000. And then what used to be walkthrough, they're now calling unlimited value. And so like if you send a walkthrough in before, you would write WK real big on the box, and now for unlimited value, they want you to write a UV really large on the box. You can see they've changed their terminology a little bit. The max value per item has stayed the same, but I just wonder if they're actually going to start enforcing this a little bit, because it's almost like if I could send in a modern magazine and just pay 15 extra dollars. So that would be what, $40. If I could send in a modern magazine for $40 and get it back in 10 days, why would I ever pay $85 for a magazine to get it back in 15 days? Unless I have a higher value magazine that they won't grade at this modern level. That's kind of what I'm wondering, if that's the direction they're going. We'll see. There's still tons and tons of Sports Illustrated magazines that have zero comps out there. So I feel like the majority of the magazines are still, they're going to have to grade them at these modern and vintage levels. But, maybe for the handful of really big ones that have seen some big sales, maybe CGC is going to start enforcing these max value per items. And, maybe if you try and send in a Mickey Mantle first cover newsstand and you try to send it in under the vintage, maybe they're gonna upcharge you and say, no, this is a high value, or this would maybe even be under the unlimited value, because that's how it works in the sports cards world. That's, if I try to send in a Mickey Mantle rookie card at the cheapest level, the PSA, they're gonna say no, no. They're gonna upcharge me. They're gonna take a percentage of that. and they're going to put it in the appropriate tier based on the value of that item. And the value, at least this is how it works in the sports card world, the value that you're supposed to estimate is based on what the value would be after it's graded. So it's like they're almost wanting you to project your grade and then look at what that value would be after that item is graded. So once again, that has not none of that has applied to sports magazines yet. We'll see if it becomes more applicable now with these new tiers. It's just kind of what I'm guessing based on the way that these are set up and with this fast track. But once again, I didn't even see the fast track option available yet, so it may be something that's still coming. Yeah, so the turnaround here, high value is 15 days. That's also improvement from what standard used to be at the 34 days. And then unlimited value and walkthrough are both still 5 days. Although you can see there is one other small change here. Walkthrough would take 3% of fair market value, $150 minimum. And now it says unlimited value is going to take 4% of fair market value, $150 minimum. So that's another reason why I wonder if they're going to actually start looking a little more closely at approximated or estimated value. Because even though it said this for walkthrough, I sent several issues walkthrough in the past, and they would charge you $150 flat because that was the minimum. And I think once again, there just wasn't enough data out there for them to actually make a realistic estimate of what that fair market value is. Now on some of these books, maybe CGC feels like there is enough data out there, so they may actually instead of just charging you a flat fee of 150, if they feel like 4% of the fair market value is higher than 150, maybe they're going to start charging that. I don't know. I don't want to get caught up in the max values per item. The biggest thing, first off, like I said, I kind of love the renaming. That's a small thing, but the turnaround times, just an incredible improvement. So like I said, we'll see. It remains to be seen if they can honor that, and if the turnaround time stays there. I'm hoping that they haven't just dedicated a huge amount of their workforce to clear up their Sports Illustrated backlog here over these last few weeks, and they're just getting caught up, and then it'll go back to really slow again. Really hope that's not the case. If they can stick with this, I mean, 60 business days, 3 months, that'd be huge. In my opinion, it's probably the biggest possible thing that could happen for this hobby. The slabs, the quality of the slabs was a huge issue. CGC went and addressed that a few months ago. The new slabs are such an improved level of quality, so that's been addressed. The turnaround times, I mean, once again, people were waiting a year to get their slabs back. Those are the kind of things that were deterring people from this hobby. People may have kind of stumbled upon it and thought, wow, that looks pretty cool. I'm interested. I'd like to get into it. But then when they hear that it's not going to be until a year that they get their items back, that turns people away. Because it's already kind of a daunting process when you're wanting to get something graded for the very first time, trying to figure out how it works, how much does it cost, and we haven't even mentioned pressing your magazines and adding that into the equation. There's a lot to consider. It's kind of a big step that first time that someone is going to go through the process of submitting. And if you don't think that you're going to get your items back for over a year, then forget about it. And I think that was kind of the opinion of a lot of people. But if it's down to 3 months, I expect that to draw a lot more people in, because I think that's going to push a lot more submissions. And once again, hopefully, CGC can still stick to these improved turnaround times, because I do think they're going to start seeing more submissions now with lower pricing and with faster turnaround. But man, I'm really excited about that. Another thing that I think has maybe hurt the hobby a little bit is kind of like I mentioned earlier. There aren't a lot of comps. People always are really unsure about estimated value, and so price guide. There has not been a price guide out for sports magazines yet. I will say this: there's good news coming on the horizon in regards to a price guide. So just stay tuned for that. But that's pretty much all I want to share tonight. I'm just really excited about these tweaks that CGC has made with their tiers. with their turnaround times, with their pricing. If they can stick to these, I think it is going to draw a really large number of people into this hobby that either have kind of been on the fence about it or maybe weren't even aware of it before. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Got lots more content coming out soon. Please like, comment, subscribe, and until the next video.